What's up? This is Todd from Super Couch Dudes, and I am reading To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And Chapter 1, here we go. When he was nearly 13, my brother Jim got his arm badly broken at the elbow. When it healed, and Jim's fears of never being able to play football were assuaged, he was seldom self-conscious about his injury. His left arm was somewhat shorter than his right. When he stood or walked, the back of his head was at right angles to his body, and his thumb parallel to his thigh. He couldn't have cared less, so long as he passed the punt. When enough years had gone by to enable us to look back on them, we sometimes discussed the events leading back to his accident. I maintained that the E-Will started it all, but Jim, who was 4 years my senior, said it started long before that. He said it began the summer Dill came to us, when Dill first gave us the idea of making Boo Radley come out. I said if he wanted to take a broad view of the thing, it really began with Andrew Jackson. If General Jackson hadn't run the creeks up the creek, Simon Finch would never have had to paddle up the Alabama. And where would we be if he hadn't? We were far too old to settle an argument with fistfight, so we consulted Atticus. Our father said we were both right. Being Southerners, it was sort of a shame to the members of the family that we had no recorded ancestors on either side of the Battle of Hastings. All we had was Simon Finch, a fur-trapping apothecary from Cornwall, whose pity was exceeded only by his stinginess. In England, Simon was irritated by the persecution of those who called themselves Methodists at the hands of their more liberal brethren. And as Simon called himself a Methodist, he worked his way across the Atlantic to Philadelphia, thence to Jamaica, thence to Mobile, and up to St. Stephen's. Mindful of John Wesley's strictures on the use of many words in buying and selling, Simon made a power practice in medicine. But in this pursuit he was unhappy, lest he be tempted into doing what he knew was not for the glory of God, as putting on of gold and costly apparel. To Simon, having forgotten his teacher's dictum on the possessions of human chattels, bought 3 slaves, and with their aid established in a homestead on the banks of the Alabama River some 40 miles up St. Stephen's. He returned to St. Stephen's only once to find a wife, and with her established a line that ran high to daughters. Simon lived to an impressive age and died rich. It was customary for the men of the family to remain on Simon's homestead, Finch's Landing, and make their living from cotton. This place was self-sufficient, modest in comparison with the empires around it. Landing nevertheless produced anything required to sustain life except ice, wheat flour, and articles of clothing supplied by the riverboats from Mobile. Simon would have regarded with impotent fury the disturbances between the North and the South, as it left his descendants stripped of everything but their land, yet the tradition of living on the land remained unbroken until well into the 20th century. When my father, Atticus Finch, went to Montgomery to read law, and his younger brother went to Boston to study medicine, the sister Alexandria was the Finch who remained at the Landing. She married a taciturn man who spent most of his time lying on a hammock by the river, wondering if his trot lines were full. When my father was admitted to the bar, he returned to Macon and began his practice. Macon, some 20 miles east of Finch's Landing, was the country seat of Macon County. Atticus' office was in the courthouse, containing little more than a hat rack, a spittoon, and a checkerboard and an unsullied coat of Alabama. Its first 2 clients were the last 2 persons hanged in the Macon County jail. Atticus had urged them to accept the state's generosity in allowing them to plead guilty to second-degree murder and escape with their lives. But they were Harvards in Macon County, a name synonymous with jackass. The Harvards were dispatched Macon's leading blacksmith in a misunderstanding arising from the alleged wrongful detention of a mare, were imprudent enough to do it in the presence of 3 witnesses, and insisted that the son of a bitch had it coming to him was a good enough defense for anybody. They persisted in pleading not guilty to the first-degree murder, so there was nothing much Atticus could do for his clients except be persistent at their departure on occasion that there was probably the beginning of my father's profound distaste for the practice of criminal law. During his first 5 years in Macon, Atticus practiced economy more than anything. For several years thereafter, he invested his earnings on his brother's education. John Hale Finch was 10 years younger than my father and chose to study medicine at a time when cotton was not worth growing. But after getting Uncle Jack started, Atticus derived a reasonable income from the law. He liked Macon. He was Macon County born and bred. He knew his people, they knew him. And because of Simon Finch's industry, Atticus was related to related by blood or marriage to nearly every family in the town. Okay, I think that'll be it for this one. Pretty chill start, only 5 minutes long, not too bad. Get some water and I'll put up a second video. And I realize y'all can't see me. Alright, I know there's probably some little mishaps, but it's my first time doing it and my mouth is like really dry. But yeah, we'll do a chapter 2 in a little bit. Or not chapter 2, but part 2 of chapter 1 in a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoy it. I feel like books like this and maybe Huckleberry Finn and stuff like that are going to be easier for me to read because my country accent kind of lends to the story a little more. I can actually get into it. I can get into the story. I love the book. I love what it's about, and hopefully the guys who want to read it like it too. And I suggest getting a book and reading along because I don't know if my voice is good enough to just do that solely. But who knows? Peace. See you later, guys.